yeah, getting into the build, we're gonna have 26 points invested into Calamity and 24 points invested into Crucible. Now we're gonna go ahead put 5 points in what burns within. This increases our incendiary damage. We like that. After that, we go ahead put 5 points in Wields the Storm. This passive status effect damage and duration get increased. 5 points in the Bullet the Storm. Whenever Amon applies the status effect, he gains increased gun damage for a duration. After that, we're gonna go down here, max out this right tree, my right, and we're gonna put 5 points into Catastrophe. When Amon applies shock to an enemy, he gains increased crit hit chance for duration. Whenever Amon applies burning to an enemy, he gains critical hit damage for a duration. You can see it does stack. Maximum stacks is 3. We then go ahead and put 5 points into Judgment. Amon deals increased melee damage to enemies below total HP. All of these are pretty useless for this build. I mean, I guess you could use Crackling Aegis, but you're not finna really get effects from it because your shield's finna stay cracked given the gear we are using. After that, we put 1 point in Electrical Fire. This is a lit perk. Whenever Amon burns an enemy, he also shocks them, and vice versa. Whenever Amon shocks an enemy, he also burns them. 2 seconds cooldown, just 2 seconds. Now, for the action skill, we're using Onslaughter. Amon overloads his Forge Fist, gaining constant shield regeneration, bonus incendiary damage with the guns, and increased movement speed. Press buttons to rocket punch, dashing to enemies, dealing incendiary damage in a short AoE. Bosses cannot be staggered. However, when we get down here to Force of Nature, while Onslaughter is active, gun damage dealt to enemies will prime them for a duration and will detonate when they die or are damaged by a Forge skill, dealing incendiary damage to nearby enemies. Detonations can also be caused by melee attacks but deal less damage. And that is why at the end of the day, yes, we are using Stormcutter for our capstone. Molten Slam is now Stormcutter. Press and hold to swing a massive Forge Sword, launching a Forge Wave which deals shock damage to all enemies it passes through. Action skill cooldown and action skill duration, as well as ordnance cooldown for each enemy hit or refunded, so you're able to get some of your ability back so you can use it more often. Swapping over to the green tree, Crucible, we're going to put 5 points into Cast Iron. Amon gains increased Forge skill cooldown rate and gun handling. He'll be able to use his Forge skill more often, which again, for us, does refresh a ton of our cooldowns and allow us more uptime. After that, we are going to put 5 points into Destruction Engine. This gives Amon increased Forge skill damage as well as detonation damage. And remember, due to Force of Nature, while Onslaughter is active, gun damage dealt to enemies will prime them for a duration. They'll detonate when they die or damaged by a Forge skill. You then want to go ahead and put 5 points into Herald's Call. Amon gains increased shock damage. For obvious reasons, you want this. After that, we go down to the next segment. Tempered Lightning, 5 points. Forge Drone skill. Whenever Amon activates his action skill, he will now spawn a Forge Drone. We want the shock one because it will also do fire damage. Okay, which is nice. Activating action skill while Tempered Lightning is active will restore some of its duration, allowing it to stay out on the field. And after that, we go ahead and put 5 points into Lightning Rod. Amon's gunshots have a chance on critical hit to spawn an elemental bolt like Zeus, which does shock damage to enemies, and it does have an 8-second cooldown. We're going to put 4 points into there for a total of 50 points. When it comes to class mods, I'm not gonna lie, Amon has options. I'm using a Fury Elementalist right here, which gives me a bunch of bonus perks in the blue tree, as well as a 25% increase to elemental damage with a 30% increase to skill damage. However, maybe you don't have that. Maybe you only have Raging Furnace. I mean, if you're getting a 45% increase to your incendiary damage as well as the shield capacity, this could also be very useful. Keep in mind, your Stormcutter will now get transferred to incendiary damage and still do shock damage, so it's a win-win on there. But you can also use Resounding Falcon. As you see, I have detonation damage as well as splash damage, which on this build is really, really great. However, you will be going down a lot. Just in case y'all did need some other options to feel safe. For our shield, we are using the Nova Chitinous Protein Cell. On Ground Slam, you start draining your shield and you do an increase of shock damage. As a matter of fact, you get a 40% increase to shock damage. When you deal fire damage, you deal shock damage. It's getting increased. It's stacking. Turtle, 40% increase, and when it explodes, you deal massive AoE damage. Defense and offense, as a shield should be. For enhancement, we have guns with Jacob license parts, 40% chance for non-critical hits to ricochet. Bounce pass, guns with Jacob license parts increase the number of possible ricochets. We have gun accuracy and gun critical damage on this. And yes, lucky for us, we do have a knife, which gives us a 15% increase in damage, as well as makes all of our damage critical hits for a 5 seconds, right? You get 3 charges of this OP shit. For our weapon, we are using probably the most OP weapon in the game, the Kickballer Shotgun. Jacob's License Accelerate, critical hits will ricochet projectiles to nearby enemies. Comboed with the amount of ricochets we get with this, you can already tell where this is going. This gun also has an unlimited magazine, however it'll heat up and eventually break. Just means that you gotta cool it down and then you'll be able to use it, and it can switch between shock and cryo. We're gonna keep it on shock. When we do shock, we do fire. Mad amounts of AoE damage. I mean, y'all seen at the beginning what was happening. That was this. And so, yeah. Specializations, you're going to want Contamination, Critical Hits grant increased status effect, and Application chance. You're then going to want I am a gun, hashtag Daredevil, action, skill damage now benefits from increase to gun damage. So all that increase to gun damage, your skill damage is also getting. After that, you're going to go in the zone or sharpshooter. While aiming, the Vault Hunter gains increased gun damage, critical hit damage per second. Bonuses are lost after not aiming for 2 seconds. Maximum stacks is 5. And then we got Riddle You This or Brute. Whenever a Vault Hunter deals gun damage, gain a stack of Riddle You This, increasing gun damage. Maximum stacks 51%. That's a 50% increase. You can see we have 45 points into Brute for a 25% near increase in gun damage. As well as Sharpshooter, the Vault Hunter gains increased reload speed and accuracy. You're gonna want that, it's really good. Daredevil, increased action skill cooldown rate, 24%. And Killer, the Vault Hunter gains increased critical hit damage. Please hit that follow or subscribe button if y'all found this useful. Peace out.